Now, in this video, we will going to discuss about the introduction to PLM strategy. PLM is a strategic business approach that enables companies to achieve greater profitability from their products. PLM success starts with PLM strategy, that is a plan that can help the organization attain its business objectives, and then establishing the governance and the continual executive leadership needed to facilitate success over the long term. So what does it mean? So that means in a company, when you want to have a strategy, so that means there should be having an objective. So that is the business objective. What is our business objective? Suppose if you are having a company, if it is a software company, it may be a hardware company, or it may be a manufacturing company, whatever it is, their objective has to make first they should define the objectives and then establishing the governance. What is that governance? The administration. What is that administration? It may be from the it may be from the technical point of view, that is from the manufacturing side, or from the design side, or it from the marketing side, and also from the marketing side. All those things which should have a proper governance, and they should be having a clear defined steps which should be taken care of, and the continual executive leadership needed to facilitate success over the long term. So that means a proper leader. You should have a good leader who can able to execute all these things to get it to a long-term success. A good, well-defined and well-communicated PLM strategy is important for the following reasons. Show how to achieve PLM vision and objectives, and show how PLM resources will be organized, managed and used. Describe policies governing use and management of PLM resources. Make sure everybody knows about the happenings. Make sure all resources are aligned in the right direction. So that means when we talk about the PLM strategy, one should be having a proper vision and objectives. Then you should have a well organized and managed resources. And you should have a policies governing use and management of PLM resources. That means you should have a proper resources, and you should be able to how it can be properly managed. Everybody should know about the happenings in the organization. That means who are all the people, who are all the stakeholders in the company. They should know what is happening inside the company, and make sure all resources are aligned in the right direction. That means to fulfill the objectives and vision, make sure all are aligned to that particular direction. Next is impact of PLM strategy. So we have a plot wherein you have a year versus the total returns. So here one is the strategy. Suppose now applications, IT applications and payback period 1 for 1 and 10 for 1. That is systems benchmarked operating gains in link to COGS. That is cost of goods sold. Payback period is 6 to 12 months. So here applications, IT application rationalization payback period is 6 to 9 months. That is from now to 1 year. Then systems, it is from 6 to 1 year. That is from 6 to 1 year. That is maximum. Strategy, product liability and regulation, IP management, RFID. That is so ROI, return of assets, return on investment, R&D, on licensing patents. Payback period is 3 to 5 years. So that means the strategy has to be from the beginning till to the end. Maybe it is a long run process of the strategy wherein you have the return on investment and licensing patents. See, these things which will going to happen. It will going to be over a period of time. It's not happening. Suppose if I apply for a patent today, tomorrow you will not be able to get it. So it will going to take a lot of time. So that strategy has to be, that is from 100 for 1. So 10 for 1. See, as you grow higher and higher, naturally the possibility of getting becomes very, very less. So that is how these things will going to have. Return on investment, which I've already explained in our previous videos. Return on assets. What is an assets? It may be a fixed assets like on the building, or it may be on the land. All those things which will going to come into the picture. Cost of goods sold, COGS. The cost of goods sold means the whatever the product which you will going to develop, and that has to be sold, the cost return on that, all those things which are going to play a major role in the PLM strategy. Short-term PLM returns are obtained by implementing applications primarily within the functional area. Mid-term returns are obtained by implementing systems that cross two functional areas. Long-term higher payback is generated by developing and implementing an overall strategy for PLM. So that is what. So this is now 1 for 1 is for a short term, 10 for 1 is the medium term, 100 for 1 it will going to be the long-term applications. Elements of PLM strategy. So number 1, a vision of tomorrow. So that means what you want to do by what you want to do for tomorrow. So that means which provide people to think about the organization's purpose and aspirations of the future. Then the PLM benefits from an approach like this, because it is only when we take a new and discontinuous look at the future that we might perceive novel and creative uses of information that are more simply extrapolations of what has been done in the past. Realistic assessment of today. So what is that? Being unrealistic and delusional about our current situation and capabilities may give a faulty starting point towards the company's vision of tomorrow. So unrealistic. So what does it mean? So that means we will going to fix our goals which cannot be achieved. So that is what is called unrealistic. Delusional about our current situation. Despite knowing our current situation and capabilities, so we will think, yes, tomorrow we can do that, or tomorrow, day after tomorrow we can do all those things, but it is not possible, because you know what is the capability and the current situation of your company. Suppose if you have that type of unrealistic unrealistic goals, then it becomes a false starting point towards the company's vision. So that means the tomorrow definitely you will not be able to achieve. The strategy is to develop and maintain all the necessary information about the people, product, customers, competitors, market, government's initiatives in order to make informed decisions for the changing environment. So that means if you want to have a realistic assessment of today, so what are all the things which you should have? One is about the information about the people. That means the people who are working in your organization, you should have a proper track, and the customers, who are all your customers, then who are all your competitors, and what is the current situation in the market, what is the government initiatives which has been taken care in order to make informed decisions over the changing environment. So what the government has been taking the decisions, because due to the market fluctuations, that is what is called changing environment. Because of the fluctuation in the market, sometimes the government takes some initiatives so that it will going to be helpful for the companies to be sustained. So all those information has to be with you in the company, so that the company will going to grow for the vision tomorrow. Bridging gap between today and vision of tomorrow. So this is one of the most important point in the PLM strategy. So that is bridging gap between today and vision of tomorrow. So that means this is to include 3 aspects. One is people, that is the people who are working, and the processes and practices. What are all the processes you are involving, and the practices, how practice you are doing, and the technology involvement, the technology, whether the capability for the things which you have, both hardware and software. It may be from the point of view of the softwares and the hardwares, which is on the technology, and also from the manufacturing side also. All of these elements are required if an organization has to make this transition. Either one of these elements is not addressed, the entire plan suffers. So this is a very important point. So that means you have to address all the 3. Otherwise, if any one of them has been neglected, then the entire thing will going to be a false. Because if you don't have a proper workforce, then even though you have a best technology, even you have best practices and processes, then you will not be able to achieve the goal. Suppose if you have people, and if you have good technology, but you don't have a good process which is been involved, and good practices you have not been inculcated in your company, then it becomes a waste. And if you have people and processes and practices, but you don't have a proper technology for the development of the product, then again the company will going to suffer. So all these things which you should have and bear it in mind, so then only you can be able to grow. Point number 4, capabilities and resources required to carry out plan. Organizations need to have assessment of their internal capabilities and a realistic view of what their competitors, customers, or governments are doing. Organizations need to have assessments. Well, what is that assessment? Internal capabilities. Assessment means auditing. So what you need to do, whether we have a proper workforce is been available, and then we have a realistic view of what their competitors are. So that means you must have a realistic view. So that means you are capable, and whether your competitors are more capable than you, so that you should have a proper assessment. Don't think that if you are a competitor, if you have a competitor, don't underestimate them. So that is what it means. Realistic view what their competitors are, and you should have a customers. So that means realistic. That means the customers who you have. So whether they will going to prefer your product or not, because why the customers will going to link to you, that is basically because you may be giving the product with the best quality and with the least price. So that is the but that doesn't mean that they will never compromise on the quality of the product. So that is the requirement of the customer, and the customer should be able to get what they want and what the governments are doing. So the governments, that means whether the schemes have been released for that particular because of the fluctuation in the market, and all these things should have a proper realistic view, and they should be frequently they should be analyzing. If they do not have the resources and capabilities to carry out the plan, there is a little possibility of their realizing their vision of the future. So that means if they don't have the proper resources and capabilities, even though you may have a resources, that means the workforce you may have, but you don't have a capability in them to carry out all these plans, then again your company will going to suffer realizing their vision for the future. So in the next video, we will going to talk about the developing of a PLM strategy. Thank you.